So, good evening.
Hi, good evening. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm also good.
We're sorry for being late. I mean, we had some network issues that we were trying to resolve.
No worries, no worries. I did receive a message from your side, not a problem.
All right. Thank you. So, I'd also say hello to all our viewers and who joined in and also who are joining in. So, I would also like to introduce Ms. Shweta from Studio Meraki.
Hi.
They have been a firm. Sorry.
I just said hi, everyone.
Okay.
Hi.
So Ms. Shweta is a practicing architect in her firm Studio Meraki, and she has also played a successful role in sustainable design as a sustainable design consultant in Singapore, and she's done her post graduation in MSc Building Performance and Sustainability from National University of Singapore, and they believe in designing happy and healthy spaces. Information I could get from their website about them.
Yeah.
So I think everyone knows about Alcoi, wherein we do high performance fenestration systems, and we primarily focus on the promoting the brand on technical strength and design strength rather than only the fabrication strength of the product.
Well, yes,
So
that's the approach. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll also introduce everyone today's topic of discussion, which is high performance windows and energy efficient home. And I think should we start with the discussion, the first question?
Yes, of course. Please,
All right.
please go ahead. Yeah.
So, and I would also ask the viewers in case they have any questions, they should definitely put in, and as and when we can, kind of see them and get some time to answer, we'll definitely pick them up either during our discussion or by the end of it. So I'll just start with the first point of discussion, or let's say the topic that we have on the choice of materials. So what I wanted to ask you, Shweta, was that how do you go about choosing the materials for fenestrations, either out of wood, aluminum, or UPVC? And I think these days all three materials have an engineered system uh, that can be made out of these materials. So how do you guys decide when you actually go about designing the space?
Well, of course, as we know, the fenestration design these days is dependent on a lot of factors. I mean, aesthetics do have an important role, of course, but then I think that a fenestration design is primarily about balancing solar heat gain and daylight. That's what the whole trick is. So what we do then as an exercise, we perform a building energy simulation always. First, we do the design of building, and we just try to see how we can optimize the cooling load, and we put in all the different materials, the skin regarding the skin of the building, the kind of glass we want to use, the kind of frames we want to use. So that is the particular. I mean, rather than a very qualitative approach, we form a more quantitative approach because uh, due to my studies in sustainable design at NUS in Singapore, there has been one takeaway or one learning that has been there with me all throughout since so many years is that architects are primarily trained to perform in a very subjective kind of a fashion. But when we talk about sustainability and green buildings, we need to talk in terms of numbers, you know. So rather than saying that I like this or I think this is this or and I think this would perform better, we need numerical values and results to extrapolate and take our decisions. So rather than taking very haphazard decisions, we do building simulations and then come up with the best material for our skin. That is the way we actually do it. That is the way we.
Okay, and when we talk about the performance of the window, Obviously, and sustainability, of course. Definitely, recyclability is a very important aspect when we are talking about sustainability, right?
Yes, yes.
And I think if you are considering IGBC standard or let's say Griha standard, so all of them have some points which actually add up towards using a sustainable material or a material that probably, adds up for a gold, silver, or bronze rating, I believe.
Right, right, right.
Right. So in that case, regarding the product, it is also to do with the maintenance aspects, or for that matter, how
Yes.
the material reacts to climate.
Of course, that is that those are the primary considerations which we always take in mind, because a material would not perform the same in Delhi and in Mumbai. There's a different moisture content. There's, I mean, of course, so that of course, those maintenance, recyclability, withstanding abrasion, weather, that all is a part of fenestration design. Obviously, that's there, of course. But these days, due to more focus being laid on energy efficient buildings, I think recyclability has become a very important part, because fenestrations and windows are a huge bulk of the whole construction finishes, and uh, people want that the embodied energy of the material used in a sustainable project needs to be very low. And also, if the material is easily recyclable, or at least its disposal is not causing any kind of hazard to the environment, that is also one of the main principles now. I mean, it was there always, but now, of course, we have to focus on that. That's true.
All right. So during your discussion, we also mentioned that, use of performance glass is very important. All right. So can you tell the viewers who are building their residences primarily, because in commercial projects you always have consultants who recommend you of how to go about the designing the building on in terms of performance, etc. But residential customers actually are not very well aware of how to go about using a performance glass, or which elevation to be considered for more insulation from sun and heat, etc. So can you put a light on that?
Yes, of course, sure. Well, if I say India has a lot of climatic zones, but suppose if I talk about a typical hot and dry climate in New Delhi, Delhi NCR. So um, the the west facing sun is the harshest. So
Mhm.
north facing the north facing facade is primarily protected, because a movement of the sun is from east to the west uh, through south, and south it is higher. So the east and the west facades, sun is a bit lower, and during the noon the sun goes higher in the south. So west is the harshest sun. So whenever residential owners are buying a house or maybe constructing a house, west face needs to have minimum glazing. I mean, a lot of times, like even in these green building rating systems, we want to suppose place a staircase or a toilet or a storage areas on the west side, because they don't really need windows, and they kind of act like a buffer between the main living spaces and the outside harsh sun. So west can be used as a facade to actually have your storage areas, or maybe toilet cases, the main living areas basically can be on the other facades. And the south facades need to have, primarily to protect them from sun, we can have horizontal shading device, and east and the west facades can have vertical shading. But selection of glass again depends on the uh, basically again balancing the heat and the sunlight. So the glazing will have it's a bit more technical, but every glazing or every glass unit will have a solar heating coefficient and a visual light transmitter value, and a U value. But in glass, what matters more is balancing the SLGC and the VLT, that's the visual light transmittance. So if the residential owners are not able to hire consultants or give simulate their building in energy models, I would say at least Saint Gobain and a lot of companies, they do offer uh, their advice on what kind of glass should use, but definitely they can go for double glazing, and they can adopt to some standards provided to them by the manufacturers. But the visual light transmittance should ideally not be less than 60% because it just kills the whole idea of having light and a good view, everything that's good for the comfort of the occupants. And very low solar heat gate coefficient values are required. So, and of course, another way is to have low E coatings on the glass. They're basically low emissivity and high reflectance coatings on the glass. At times, users cannot afford a double glazing systems. So, having a low emissivity or a high reflectivity, high reflectance coating on the glass helps to reflect a lot of the heat energy. So, yes, and of course, orientation is the most important, and choosing the whole window system that actually provides heat insulation is very important for a house, especially. And I think everything should be taken care of. I mean, it's not just the window frame or the glass assembly, things like the weather stripping, the gaskets, and it should be really sealed. Everything should be insulated. So that's a very important aspect of window selection.
Okay, so I mean, the takeaway would be that use of double glass, number
It would,
one, and then the west facing facade to have the least number of openings. Why? Because that has the harshest sun, and then
yes,
definitely the orientation,
yes, yes, yes.
right?
The
And
south,
after
of course,
that, sorry.
the south facade needs to also be saved from the sun, but we also needed to welcome winter sun. So there needs to be a balance there, which can happen with the help of shading devices very easily. Or, at times, at sites, you have a microclimate in which you have trees, maybe existing trees on the south, and basically how to use the whole to orient your building and massing it in a way and plan your living spaces in areas where the house does not boil in the evening, basically that kind of a thing.
Okay, so basically, after the customer has taken care of the double glass, the west facade, and orientation, then he can look at the second grade of upscaling it by using a low E or low
Yeah,
SHGC or a high VLT
exactly.
glass specification.
Right,
Right.
right, right.
Okay, great. So let's go on to the next one. Here it is all about ventilation. So how do you think the customers, or rather, when you design a space, how do you consider ventilation, or let's say take care of it? And the second thing being, what is it that you would like to advise the viewers that what should they be looking at when they are designing their own spaces along with the architect for providing good ventilation in the houses, because we have a very good tropical climate, and not all months across the year we either can sit in an air conditioner or for that matter sit outside. So how do you think that what would be your word of advice for them?
Well, am again from that fraternity that needs ventilation, because a lot of the people these days, in fact, our clients, they don't want to open the windows, and everybody wants to
Yes.
sit in a tight air-conditioned space 24/7. That is a change in the psychology or the mentality of the clients that we see now. But that definitely is a bit unhealthy. Fresh air is needed when extremely important. And from an energy saving point of view, also, we don't need air conditioning all the time. So I think a little bit also has to do with the um, psychology of people, because what I've seen is that we have been trying to push clients to actually ventilate their homes. I mean, even if we provide them with windows, keeping in mind a ventilation pattern, we see the wind movements through the site and we study the wind direction, and we give them windows that substantially, facilitate cross ventilation. It's still not enough, because if the client is not opening the windows and not using it, it doesn't really matter what the architect designs for them. So there are some studies which have also been done initially, like in Japan, a lot of years back, this was a major problem. And this, everyone was using air conditioning at the time, and then they realized they need to save energy bills. There was this moment that came. Everyone was advised to dress one grade low. Like everybody used to come in suits and ties, and then everybody was told to come in t-shirts, and then automatically
Mm.
no, so it's just a shift in psychology, and everybody nobody was using the AC on 18 degrees anymore. This experiment was done in Japan a few years back. So yeah,
Mm.
thermal comfort parameters are different for different ethnicities and different people and everyone. But and this whole shift of going towards more active and energy saving ways of air conditioning is happening these days, which definitely is a bit unhealthy and not good, and definitely not energy saving at all. So I would say that it's extremely important to have a good microclimate around the site, because if the microclimate is not good, then probably nobody's going to open the windows, because you will get hot air inside in the evening, especially. So if you have you laid out your site and your surroundings in a way that facilitates cooling around, and there's something called as the open heat island effect as well. So you would have noticed that in a lot of societies, housing societies these days, people go out for walks in the evening, but it's not comfortable at all, even if the temperature outside is low, because everything is paved and hard, and there is warm air coming out from air conditioning. So it becomes like an urban heat island, basically. At the level, it's a buildup of heat. So and nobody's comfortable. So the same way, if you've provided for ventilation, but you're not getting ventilation that is giving you thermal comfort, it's of no use. So here we can't do maybe studies for every small project, but when I was working in Singapore as a sustainable design consultant, we use softwares to determine what kind of wind speed are we getting inside the building or in housing societies in on the lower stilt floors where everybody is walking. Because if you are not able to provide ventilation at a certain speed, it does not matter, basically. It really does not matter. So having just windows does not matter. So if you're not able to channelize the wind in a way that makes you thermally comfort at that temperature and that kind of wind, it's really of no use. That's why we do thermodynamic simulation as well. Not possible to do in case of smaller residences, but bigger projects we definitely do simulations to see whether we can achieve a good level of natural ventilation. I mean, it's again something like we used to say that architects make a lot of arrows on sheets or on their drawings. So we make arrows, but that doesn't mean that wind will go and it will actually provide thermal comfort. It needs, again, numerically, it needs to be proven. So that is what kind of ventilation design we do.
So basically, it will also depend upon how the exterior is designed as compared to just having an openable window. Why? Because if the outside area is all concrete and it kind of soaks in heat, even the ventilation wouldn't really help in to get
Yeah.
the fresh air that we are really looking
Yeah.
at lower
Yes.
rise areas.
Because ventilation does not mean just opening a window. If the wind that is crossing in your house, you're not liking it. See, at times you have these air conditioners, and you have these outdoor units of air conditioners placed in your balcony, and stuff like that is very common. But there has been a lot of research that shows that in all these apartment buildings, if you have uh, outdoor units, then the building, the way it's done, a lot of times this hot air just bounces back inside the building, actually causes more heat gain. There is a research paper in Korea that's been done. So you never know. I mean, you did everything, but it's not working, right? So
Yeah,
yeah.
get that. Okay. cleaning and the maintenance aspect of glazing in either housing projects or for that matter in normal residences? Because that's a very key, I would say, pain point of customers that, big glazings are designed. Now, in a commercial project, it is easy. Why? Because the arrangements are made for, cleaning it from outside. But when we talk of housing projects as well as residences, how do you think that this problem can be managed? I mean, of cleaning the windows, because the light is coming in, maybe ventilation is also good, the glass is also high performance, but at the end of the day, some people may kind of shy away from even opening up their curtains. Why? Because the windows from outside are not accessible for maintenance, for cleaning, etc. So how do you guys address that issue, or how the
Well,
customers should
maintenance
actually
is,
look at it?
I think customers these days rely a lot on uh, what, see, everybody's very brand conscious now. So what kind of companies we select for, windows that are, uh, they serve you well in terms of maintenance. And also, I think largely choosing materials that withstand our tough climatic conditions, rain, everything. But at the end of the day, there needs to be a lot of effort done by the maintenance committees, or any kind of housing. Or I know that in commercial buildings, definitely that's much easier to take care of everything. But then the facilities management, the FM team has to really take care of all this, because there are a lot of new technologies to clean glass and all, but it becomes very expensive when you go to these housing societies, because people are conservative and they are not looking forward to very new age or any kind of hi-fi solutions. So I would say at that level, we need to be very, how do you say, meticulous about how, what kind of material are we using for the frames and the glass, and what kind of strength, what kind of tensile strength, uh, maintenance, how much maintenance issues that can that material withstand, and how can well it can be maintained. So that is very, very important while choosing a glazing system.
Okay, and would you think, I mean, what we come across is that, providing access to the glazing for cleaning and maintenance from the design point of view would also help in kind of, resolving the problem. Why? Because, yes, I understand in bigger projects, it makes a difference. Why? Because they already have
They have a management team.
better
Yeah.
access area.
Yes.
So, which means that
Yes, it's
customers
very
should be aware
important.
that,
Access to,
yeah.
see, it's not just access to windows, but when we design, I think access to everything is important, even it is for plumbing or shafts. I mean, everything that needs to be maintained needs to have access. I mean, there are societies in which you cannot enter the shafts, and leakage is happening and you really cannot do anything about it. Pipes are leaking, so they are just struggling, because you need to have access doors. You need to access all your services, all windows, everything. You just cannot hide things. So yes, it's extremely important. It's extremely important.
All right. Now we'll come on to one of the penultimate questions, which is, there are a lot of cases where we come across that the glass breaks by itself in residences, and technically, from the profession, from the industry, we know that, glass breakage also happens due to nickel sulfide
Thermal
contents in glass, which is also called glass suicide or thermal breakage. But
expansion and contraction.
right. So what do you think can be a precaution that a normal customer can take in addressing these kinds of issues? Because, it's not only thermal expansion and contraction, but maybe it is because of the material that's holding the glass is not being properly or structurally tested,
Not
right?
proper.
Because at the end of the
Yeah,
day,
yeah,
yeah. So at
right.
the end of the day, yes, people are
Yes, of course. Yes, we do take all. There's nothing is on face. Your voice is breaking. I mean, I've got your question. Um, well, oh God. Yes, of course. I mean, I ask for test reports. I never take anything on face value. So test reports, everything. Nitin, your voice is breaking. Hello. Hello. Okay, it's starting again, I think. अब इनकी connection, I think इनका ही कुछ. They're having some connection issues, I think.
Should be. Okay, can you guys? Hi, I'm sorry. So, okay, we were on the penultimate question regarding breakage of glass, I think.
because UPVB layer. So at least it doesn't fall and injure someone. And regarding bigger spans, whenever you're taking bigger windows, see, everybody likes to have bigger windows, but then you need to listen to your structural engineers or your glazing consultants to, uh, you know, the divisions of openings or the strength of the mullions, whatever the sizes of the mullions, whatever they're suggesting, it needs to be kind of see. A lot of people, they look at magazines and internet, and they want to say that no, 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 we want to have a big window, but we want to have very sleek member sizes because we just like it, But they need to understand that the member sizes are calculated by engineers and they need to follow that. And uh, definitely, I don't recommend not to use laminated glass for bigger openings because it is very important.
Right. So basically, what you're trying to say is that whensoever there are minimal windows to be used where the sections are slim and wherein there are big spans of glasses, a structural report of the frames, either as per IS 875 Part 3, which is the structural standard for buildings, and also for glass, be taken from the vendors so as to assure that there is no unwanted breakage in glass.
There is again some interruption.
Yeah, I think the interruption, I mean, the signal is coming in and going off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think your, I think let's have the last statement before we kind of get signed off again. So yeah, I mean, any last words from your side?
Well, regarding this question,
Yeah, and also otherwise, any suggestions for the
uh,
viewers?
okay, my cost. But then they need to understand that you will recover all those costs and their energy bills in the span of, say, the next 5 years, or it's like a lifelong thing. So we are not able to convince clients to use insulation or double glazing or the low E glass or anything for that matter because they think that okay, single glass से तो काम चल रहा है and stuff like that. So it's still difficult to convince residential clients. Commercial clients still maybe.
All right, I think, all right, great. So it was really, good to have a session with you, Shweta. And I think our
Thank you.
viewers have really got good insights into how they want to go about either, through their architects for designing of spaces, or for that matter, what kind of fenestrations that they can use so as to be pre-informed while, either buying the product or selecting the product. So it was great to have you with us. If anyone has a
Same.
question, they can type in and we'll be pleased to answer. And I think I'm wishing you all, all of you, a very good weekend. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. Thanks a lot. Looking forward to see you again.
Thank you. All right. Bye.